Today on Naturally Fit, just the facts, not fantasy, for losing weight fast and keeping it off. Our own Alex Redmond found a group of teens that are taking a step in the right direction. And we get to the bottom of spot reduction claims with The Beautiful You.
Hey, I'm Tom Purvis, and we're here with Mark Delisle, the author of Navy SEALs Workout. We're waiting for Mike to come rappelling down the mountain, so stay tuned to see if he makes it right here on Naturally Fit. Hello and welcome to Naturally Fit. I'm your host, Tom Purvis. As school systems around the country eliminate physical education from their curriculums and computers and video games become an adolescent's primary pastime, the fitness level of our teenagers has become a serious concern. Fortunately, Alex Redmond has found a group of teens that's taking a step in the right direction.
Between 15 and 25% of all the teens in this country are obese. And that's a really high statistic. Well, today we have exercise physiologist Tara Segundo here, and she's going to show our teens how to get fit in a step class that she calls Teen Scene.
Well, we decided to put STEP in the program because it's just a different kind of class, so it adds variety to the program. And also there's a lot that you can do with STEP besides just regular STEP aerobics. For instance, you can set up a STEP circuit with different strength training circuits and different stations. These girls, I think, gain a lot of positive self-esteem from what they're doing because they're successful at something and they feel healthy and strong and successful. And I think that they're losing that attitude of having to starve themselves or having to look like Twiggy because they're seeing from instructors, you know, we as role models, that it's better to just be strong and active and healthy than to starve yourself to death or try to fit some unrealistic mold, you know, what's presented to us in the fashion magazines right now.
A lot of fun, especially when you're doing it with your friends, and you have moral support and people to hang out with, and it's fun.
Oh, I mean, I think it's good to do exercising. I mean, it's not good to just sit around all day and do nothing. I mean, personally myself, I take ballet, and I think it's good to have an activity to do after school. And just as I said, it's good for your mind and good for your body.
Regarding body image, especially I think with the young women, it's something that you have to address early on in life. You know, we know from studies that kids, especially girls as young as 8 and 9 and 10, are putting themselves on diets and they start to get kind of a warped sense of their body image. And I think if you can get them exercising early and get them established in a positive sense of who they are and not so hooked into this idea that you have to be skinny to be physically acceptable, you know, the sooner you can do that, the better. And with exercise, you can get them feeling strong and good about themselves in a very positive way.
The lesson that these kids are learning is not just about STEP. It's about feeling better, it's about looking better, it's about learning to make the most out of their bodies. And it's also about taking the next step towards a fit lifestyle.
Obviously, your teenagers don't have to take a STEP class to get fit. Any activity that promotes movement and discipline on a regular basis will do the trick. And speaking of tricks, don't be fooled by those infomercial products that promise spot reduction. Recently, we took an objective look at the beautiful you. Today, we're going to take a look at a piece of equipment that's primarily marketed towards the lady of the house. Now, this is called the beautiful you. And it's an isolating piece of equipment specifically designed for the hip muscles and also has an exercise for the abdominal area. How does it work? Well, these U-shaped areas are where your legs go, and it has elastic resistance inside of it. So in this configuration, you could press your legs together and work your inner thighs, much like the exercises you might have seen at the gym. We can reconfigure this thing with some very simple adjustments, and the elastic resistance would provide a little effort against moving the thighs apart. And that is what some people consider the outer thigh work. Now, don't take my word for that yet. We're going to talk about that in a second. We could reconfigure it once again, a third time, and work our glutes or your butt. And with that same change, just flip it over, and there's an abdominal exercise that you can do as well. Now let's analyze those movements first of all, because the efficacy of the piece of equipment has a lot to do with whether it even works in general. You see, inner and outer thigh exercises, even if you do, the $5,000 piece of equipment at the gym is not going to do what you want. Think about this. How many of you get on the inner and outer thigh machines at the gym and say, I'm trying to strengthen my inner thigh, I'm trying to strengthen my outer thigh? First of all, there's no such thing as an outer thigh. The muscles you're working are very, very small and up in the top of your hip. So it's not even outer thigh as an issue. But the big factor is you're not there for strengthening of those areas. You're there to lose fat. You're buying into the concept that if I work this area, I'll lose fat in this area. It's called spot reduction, and experts over and over and over again show that it's not true. So stop spending money trying to spot reduce. Now listen, as a strengthening piece of equipment, you might get something out of this, especially if you're starting at a very low level. And if you've never exercised before and you think this might be the place for you to start for the first time in your life, I'm not going to discourage you from it. It's the place to start, but it's a long way from the end. Because to really, really make the changes you want, you've got to, number one, start eating right, and number two, you've got to do a lot more exercises than just that. You're going to have to think about your total body, and spot reduction is not going to be the issue that's going to make you satisfied. Most of us are always searching for that magical diet, exercise, or machine that will help us lose fat forever. Recently, we had a chance to expose some weight loss myths with University of Texas professor Dixie Stanforth. So Dixie, when people come into the facility where you are and they say, I want to get toned, I really want to get in shape, what do you think they're really trying to say?
Most people, Tom, are really not interested in fitness per se. They're interested in one thing.
And what is that?
Losing weight.
Well, you see, I would think that'd be easy. I think we'd be accomplishing that because everywhere you turn, they make everything fat-free nowadays. Brownies and spaghetti and everything. So, yeah, why aren't we losing weight? Is America losing weight?
America's not losing weight, and it's true. You do see fat-free, no fat, low fat. Everything's out there, from stickers on bananas that say no fat, as if there's ever been fat in banana to begin with. And then to some of the no-fat products, for instance, some of the baked goods, Entenmann's products.
Oh, those
for instance,
are good. I mean, they taste great, right?
They taste great. And you look at one of those pastries in the big yellow box, it says fat-free. And I know people who will say, I ate the whole thing. I ate the entire box because it had 0 fat, no fat. What they're not recognizing is that they just consumed 3,000 to 4,000 calories. The bottom line is, in the scientific community, not much has changed. We're really looking at 3 major things: your genetics, your level of physical activity, and the amount of calories that you bring in on a given day.
Well, let's talk about the genetics for a minute. Because can I just use that as an excuse? Like, oh gosh, I've tried every diet in the world and I've never lost any weight. It's got to be my genetics. In fact, I look just like my mom or my dad or whatever. So forget it. I don't have to do anything, right?
Your genetic makeup certainly comes into play, but I don't at all think that that's a reason for someone to say, well, I'm a genetically obese person, so I'm just going to sit here and watch TV.
Now, you mentioned one of your points here after genetics was physical activity. So I'm going to ask you, there's got to be the absolute best exercise program, and I know you're going to be able to tell us about that.
There is, and Tom, you have come to the right place.
All right.
Everybody is holding onto their seats. I know.
They're on the edge right now.
There is the best exercise program, and people have been channel surfing for it for years.
You really got me excited. Okay,
I've got the answer.
Let me know.
I have the answer.
What is it?
The best exercise program is the one that you will do. That's
kind of a little bit of a letdown here. There's no tricks, what you're saying.
There are no tricks. It's what you'll do. The more physically active you can be, the more it's going to impact your health as well as your fitness.
So I've been sitting on the couch with remote control for the past 5 years, and I get up and I simply start walking. I don't even worry about how long. I just go for a walk every day. You're saying significant because I'll do it.
Significant because you'll do it, number one. It gets you off the couch. And simply by becoming more physically active, like taking a walk or raking the leaves or doing some simple task like that, you are potentially reducing your risk for heart disease conditions and for a lot of other disease conditions. So really, when you look at simply taking someone from being sedentary and moving them to being even a little bit active, you're going to impact their health.
So let's go on and let's talk about the person who, maybe the enthusiast who's sitting there watching right now and they say, I have been doing it. I don't have any trouble getting off the couch. In fact, I've been going to the gym 2, 3, 4, 5 times a week. And what I'm hearing is, I have to do 20 minutes on this treadmill or stair stepper in order to burn fat. Is that how I need to burn fat? Is it the only way I can burn fat?
Well, I've heard that too, and I think it's a common misconception. Let's talk about fat burning for a second, okay? So we want to zero in on you. Tom's sitting in a chair. Just sit there, don't move, don't do anything. What are you burning?
I bet you're going to tell me fat.
You are exactly right. You're burning predominantly fat as you sit there. You're purely aerobic because you're bringing in enough oxygen to meet the demands of your body. Now right now the demands are pretty low, so you're only burning a couple calories.
So let's jump the track a little bit. Let's talk about what we're putting in our mouths for a second, because I'm afraid to ask it. I was going to ask you before, what's the perfect diet? But
I let you down on
the exercise.
Perfect exercise program. Okay.
So is there a perfect diet?
Is there a perfect diet?
For burning fat.
For burning fat. Oh, you're going to add that caveat for burning fat. The perfect diet for burning fat is probably the diet that you will eat.
Well, but I'll eat everything.
You'll eat everything. You're the Snickers bar man. So when you look at making changes in your diet, we would probably look at making some changes in the amount of fat in most people's diets. But initially, for the majority of people, the most important thing to look at is portion size. And just like with exercise, we talked about total caloric expenditure. So how many total calories you burn, that's the bottom line. The bottom line with bringing food in, or calories in, caloric intake, is total calories in. So if you can reduce someone's total caloric intake simply by reducing portion size, guess what? You don't have to make any crazy, bizarre changes that somebody can't live with.
So total calories, what's the rest of it? There's 2 other parts that really create the total bottom line conclusion for this thing.
Well, you really are considering genetics as being a variable that you don't have control over, and yet you take as much control over that as you can. The variables that you can control: calories in, looking at controlling portion size, and then calories expended, looking at a well-balanced activity program.
Dixie, I want to thank you for being here, because it's very enlightening and I think very empowering.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you. The Navy SEALs are known around the world as being the best of the best, combining ultimate fitness levels with deadly combat skills. Well, now you don't have to enlist to find out their fitness secrets. Former Navy SEAL Mark Delisle, author of the Navy SEALs Workout, put us through some paces while we were in San Diego. The terms classified or top secret are usually associated with the training and operations of the military special forces units. Fortunately, no one will be court-martialed for telling us the fitness secrets of the Navy SEALs.
This book came about in an interesting way. We were off the coast of Somalia, and a lot of the Marines and sailors had come up to us and asked us how do we stay in shape. They saw us working out. So I put together a couple quick routines on a piece of paper, and the results were so phenomenal that they said, hey, you got to go public. You know, I knew it worked out well for us, but I had no clue what the weekend warrior would do with it. And it was just exciting to see the enthusiasm. So I talked to my home command, and they said as long as I didn't cover tactics, I can go ahead and go public with it. And we scraped up whatever we could with our own money, and no investors, no publishers, and went public on our own.
So Mark, let's talk about running for just a minute, because there's a lot of people to participate in it, and you know, it's just to get in shape. I think really, honestly, I think most people hate running. But the SEALs, you've told me they have a different philosophy about it. So give us a little tip there.
I agree. SEALs take running very serious. To us, it's a character builder. It creates discipline and endurance and strength. And when you're going through actual SEAL training, it's what makes or breaks a candidate. If you're a candidate in the middle of a pack and you fall back, if you don't catch up, you could be out of training. So you come up with a thing or a philosophy that we created. It's called fire in the gut.
Tell me about that.
That's where you dig down inside yourself and pull every ounce of strength you have left, and you catch up.
And that could save your life someday, really. Right?
Exactly. I mean, you use like fire in the gut everything you do in SEAL training.
Well, let's break it down for 1 second, especially for the folks at home. How do we break running down for the real fitness enthusiast? And I think most people hate it. How can they enjoy it?
I think a key point is enjoying. If somebody doesn't enjoy something, they're not going to go back and do it again.
You're absolutely right.
So, and I think the second big mistake we make is setting too high goals. The goals are unrealistic.
So like on January 1st, you say, oh, I'm going to run 5 miles tomorrow. You already blew it, right?
You're already one block, you're gone, you won't do it again.
So we set some goals that are realistic, and there's a way to work up to those 5 miles maybe, right? Tell us about your progression.
We use a thing called a progression run, and that's where you'll start out maybe running for 5 minutes, and then walk for 2 or 5, and then run for another 5 minutes. But the key is you're running for a complete total 20 minutes.
So if the person can even walk for 20 minutes and then start to throw in little pieces of runs and draw those runs out, that's the ideal progression.
Yeah, and you've accomplished something, and now you can say, I've done it, and you can do it again.
One more thing, we talk in the weight room all the time about it's not what you do, it's how you do it. It applies to running too, right?
Technique. Technique is so important. If you don't know what you're doing, go to a library, find a book, talk to somebody who knows what they're doing, and
before
find
you
out
just
how to
start
do it
beating yourself up on the pavement, right?
Before you hurt yourself.
We got a friend here coming along. What's the story?
Hey, Mark, you want to talk about running? Or do you want to do it?
Yeah, he's going to make us look bad. Let's
I'd
go.
rather talk about it. Tell you the truth. Okay, Mark, tell us a little bit about the abdominal section of your program, because I'm sure everybody's interested in that.
To us too, the SEAL teams take the abdominals very seriously because we want to try to create something that's called usable muscles. And what we want to really emphasize too is that you can't isolate muscles. Okay, you can't spot reduce. It's something that just doesn't happen. But we do want to have a routine that'll work the entire abdominal region, not just certain areas. So what we've done is we've created a blitzing routine. And what that does is take in a variety, maybe for example 10 to 15 exercises, shortening the rest period to maybe 15 seconds and going through that non-stop.
So there's back to back to back.
Oh, it's like a blitz, just boom, boom,
Show us
boom.
a few of those right now.
Sure. Why don't we go through maybe 4 of them. The first one, why don't we go ahead and try the abdominal twist.
We're up for it. Let's see it.
Okay. Abdominal twist is a combination rocky sit-up with a bicycle motion.
Do you have the music?
Well, that might be the
right,
voice behind
you're in
it.
charge of music.
Okay. Mike, why don't you go ahead and show him, and then you go ahead and imitate him, and I'll help you out with your technique.
Yep.
The first one you do is find your balancing point. So you put your hands behind your head, and then you kind of rock back until you're right in a balance with your feet up off the ground.
Gotcha.
Just like that. And just bring your knees in towards your elbows, just like this. 1, 2. Once you got that down, now you can start trying to twist. 1, 2.
So we'll start out this way, kind of emphasizing control, right?
It's a little bit more even on both sides of your body that way. Now you've got your balance and your technique.
Like you said, you're using your abdominals to control the rest of your body, which makes them useful.
Keep them completely contracted, and just like Rocky, you're going to go from knee to knee, and you want to create that motion where you're going back and forth with your feet. A little more. There you go.
Like a leg press.
Exactly. And this way you're working the entire abdominal region.
Mike, you're going to be the push-up master today. Show us some variations from your routine on the push-ups.
Actually, in this case, I'm going to have Mark demonstrate, but I think everybody's pretty familiar with the standard military push-up where you're about shoulder width apart. First thing Mark's going to do is diamond push-ups,
so
or tricep push-ups. You'll notice he's got a diamond shape on the mat there, and this is going to tend to isolate the triceps even more than just a regular push-up will. And he's got his legs spread. You can go ahead and get in that position too.
Gotcha.
And he's going to come right down, chest directly onto your hands.
Back straight and all that good stuff?
Back straight, chest on your hands. Don't bring your butt up. Don't have your butt too far down. Just a nice straight back, up and down.
How do I
just
look?
Like
Do I look like a SEAL yet?
You're looking great. Looks like you've done this before.
Now let's throw in your shield.
1, down, 2.
Yo, enough of
There
those.
you
Show
go.
me the next one then.
All right. Okay, next variation will be dive bomber push-ups, and Mark's going to assume the position.
These sound interesting.
There you go. And he's going to come straight down as if he's going up underneath the fence.
I saw Demi Moore do these.
There you go. Yeah, but Mark taught her how to do it.
Yeah,
and then
she
back
didn't
up
do it
again.
like that.
There you go.
You need to shave your head.
There you go. There you go. There's a couple other differences.
Let me try that. Let me try that. So how'd you describe that?
Legs are exactly in the right position, a little bit more than shoulder width apart.
Okay.
You're going to dip your head down as if you're going up underneath the fence.
Under the fence?
There you go, and then hold it, and then bring it right back.
Hold it and back up.
Hold it for about a second, and then bring it right back.
Right back out the same way.
There you go, and right back up the same way that you came.
Key
That's it,
story
pretty much.
The instructor said if your chest wasn't dirty, you haven't done it right.
Exactly.
All right, Mark, you said that the upper body was really important, and we did a little bit of that. Show us your final upper body stuff for today.
Okay, what I'll do is I'll show you maybe 2 or 3 exercises, and then we'll be finished. But what I wanted to do is really emphasize the fact that this is probably the most neglected part in our society is the upper body. And what we can do is start off with one. It's called the Commando Pull Up. And Mike's going to go ahead and demonstrate that
Commando
too.
pull-ups. It's a little different variation from what most people know, right?
Exactly. He's going to go up, touch one shoulder, come down, and touch the other.
And he's pausing very slightly, yeah.
And that's 1 repetition.
Let me try those.
It's your turn now.
You gonna do them with me?
Sure.
Okay, ready? I'm gonna say up, you go up. Ready? Up.
I was afraid you were gonna say
Down.
that.
Up. Down. Up.
Why don't I look like him?
Down. But what I really like is you're using nice, slow, methodical movements. Nice, good technique. Down.
Oh,
Looking
wait a
good,
minute.
guys. Looking real good.
Now, a lot of people can't do chin-ups, so you've got methods of progression, right? So people can work up slowly to something like this.
Exactly. I don't want to scare people away because people think SEAL and they think extreme. So we've broken this down for beginning levels also. And in the book, we have techniques that show you how to progress up to just a single pull-up. So don't let that scare you.
And a real interesting thing also, one of the keys, because like you said, people have seen these exercises before. What's the difference? You've got a whole method that's important to this, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the book, somebody may say, wait a minute, I know these exercises, but if you look at the pyramid system, that's what sets it apart. And the blitzing for the abdominals. The pyramid, what we do is we take 2 repetitions, rest, 4 repetitions, rest, 5, 6.
Rest, does that mean coming clear off the bar?
Yeah, coming off the bar, rest for 15, 30 seconds, and coming back on the bar.
So you're working up to about how many?
Up to about 10. If you're a beginner, I'd just go 1, 2, 1.
Okay.
Okay, and then if you get to the extremes, you can go all the way up to 18. And you get up to
and
that
then
point.
all the way back down
exactly.
again.
Yeah, it's all graduated and self-paced for the individual. So.
But what a great system for progression.
Oh, it's phenomenal. I mean, that's why we call it a total body workout. You're working the upper body, the abs, the legs, and then of course you have the running and swimming for the cardio.
And it's all based around, it's not what you do,
it's
how you do it.
Technique.
When it comes to fitness, like everything else in life, the truth goes through 3 steps. First, it's ridiculed. Second, it's violently opposed. And finally, it's accepted as self-evident. Thanks for watching.